All right, let's just jump right in, because we really need to talk about a huge misconception in business. It all boils down to a simple, kind of shocking idea. Revenue is a lie. So today, we're going to dig into the hidden physics of what actually drives profit.
Yeah, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? I mean, we're all taught to see these gigantic revenue numbers and immediately think, wow, that's a successful company. But what we're about to see is that first instinct, it's often totally wrong. Bigger isn't always better. A lot of the time, it's just heavier.
Okay, so this chart right here, this is basically our map for this whole explainer. I know, it looks a little complicated at first glance, but trust me, it tells a really simple story about the forces that create a company's real value. And the secret to everything, well, it's hidden right here in these bars.
So let's kick things off with the most deceptive part of this whole story, the revenue lie. You know, it's the number that everyone points to first, but as you're about to find out, it's often the least important piece of the puzzle.
I mean, look at that chart. Your eyes just immediately get pulled over to the left, right? To those gigantic gray towers. We're talking about companies like CVS Health and UnitedHealth. They just look like absolute giants, completely dwarfing everything else.
So these giants, they represent our first type of business. Let's call them the movers. And these companies, their entire existence is defined by this constant, brutal fight against a fundamental force. They are in a never-ending battle with something we're going to call friction.
And this is what we mean by high friction. It's like the physics of their world. These companies are literally moving atoms, physical things. We're talking pills, boxes, people, you name it. And every single thing they move costs them money, it costs them time, and it costs them energy. You could almost say that gravity itself is their biggest enemy. So let's take CVS Health as an example. Their total revenue, get this, is $429 billion. That is just a staggering number. That's what that huge gray tower represents. It's an amount of money that's honestly hard to even wrap your head around, all flowing through just one company. It's the poster child for massive scale. But, and this is the most important question, after moving all of that stuff, after fighting gravity day in and day out, how much of that money do they actually get to keep? What's the real value they're left with?
$8 billion. Out of almost $500 billion in revenue, only $8 billion is left over. I mean, that's like trying to fill a bathtub by running the entire ocean through a leaky pipe. When you see it laid out like this, the sheer scale of that inefficiency, it's just breathtaking. And this right here, this just perfectly shows the core problem for the movers. That huge gray bar of revenue, it gets almost completely eaten up by the friction of their business. All that's left is that tiny little sliver of value you see at the bottom. They are working incredibly hard, but gravity, well, gravity takes just about all of it.
Okay, so now let's shift our focus to the middle of the chart, because not every company is in the business of moving atoms. Some of them deal in something that's way less tangible but can be just as expensive, risk. And these are the gamblers. For these guys, the friction isn't physical gravity, right? It's more like the gravity of uncertainty. They have to pour these enormous sums of money into their business constantly just for a chance to succeed down the road. You could say it's the price of admission to even play in their game.
Just look at Pfizer or JPMorgan on our chart. You see that big purple bar? That's their friction. For a company like Pfizer, that's the billions and billions they spend on R&D for drugs that, let's be honest, will probably fail. And for a bank like JPMorgan, that's the cash they have to keep on hand just in case their loans go bad. It's a constant cost they literally have to pay to play.
All right, so we've seen the heavy lifters, and we've seen the high rollers. But now we get to the holy grail. We're talking about the companies that seem to have figured out how to defy the laws of business physics completely. These are the toll roads. And their business model, it's just beautiful. It's built on pretty much zero friction. They don't have warehouses packed with stuff they need to ship. They aren't making huge, risky bets on the future. No, they built the road that everybody else has to drive on. And all they do is stand at the gate and collect the rent.
Okay, now look all the way over to the right side of the chart. See companies like Visa and NVIDIA? What do you notice? Or maybe the better question is, what's missing? There's almost no gray bar, there's no purple bar, the whole thing is just gold. And that gold, that's pure, uncut value.
So let's really put this into perspective for a second. Visa's total revenue is about $40 billion. Now, that looks absolutely tiny, almost like a rounding error, compared to CVS's $429 billion.
I mean, if you were only looking at revenue, you'd think it's not even a contest.
But, and this right here is the punchline to this entire thing. Let's look at the value they actually keep. CVS is left with $8 billion. Visa keeps $40 billion, pretty much all of it. So think about that. From a revenue stream that's 10 times smaller, Visa creates 5 times more actual value. That, my friends, is the incredible power of a zero-friction business.
So, let's pull all of this together. What we've really been looking at here isn't just a random group of companies. No, it's a whole new framework, a new way to understand business. You could call it the physics of profit.
And if there's one single lesson to take away from all this, it's this. The market does not care how hard you work. It's brutally indifferent. It's not going to reward you for moving the most boxes or for spending the most money on R&D. What it rewards is eliminating friction.
So here it is, the final breakdown, the cheat sheet, if you will. The movers, they fight gravity, and they're left with razor-thin margins. The gamblers, they fight uncertainty, and they get stuck with massive costs. But the toll roads, they just collect the rent. And that results in pure profit. That is the model you want to look for.
So the next time you're looking at a business, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Don't let yourself get mesmerized by that giant gray bar of revenue. Instead, train your eyes to see the friction. Ask yourself, are they fighting gravity? Are they making a huge gamble? Or have they built a toll road? Because figuring that out, that is the real secret to understanding the physics of profit.